Welcome back to another Flutter tutorial. In today's episode, let's learn how to work with button widgets in Flutter. So throughout this tutorial series, we've just been able to display a list of widgets or single widgets, but we didn't add any abilities for the user to interact with our apps. So let's change this. In this episode, let's learn how to work with buttons. Button widgets allow a user to initiate an action in the UI, and we can handle the click or tapping event using the button's onPressed property. So to get started, I created this class right here, button list widget, inside of this widget folder, and I'm calling it inside of this my homepage widget right here. So the first widget I want to show you is the filled button. We have used this button, but we didn't handle the onPressed click event. Right here, you can see this button have two properties. We have the onPressed. If you hover over it, you will see right here, this is required. And we also have this child widget, which is required too. So right here, the onPressed is where we'll handle the click event. You can use this anonymous function right here for the onPressed property. And inside of this method, you can specify your action, or you can also use an arrow function where you just specify the action that you want to use. And the third way is to assign a custom event that you can create. So let's create this event, click handler right here. Now let's create it right here, a void, paste the name of your event. And inside of this event, I just want to print something to the console. So let's say button clicked, semicolon. Avoid using this printed method when you are ready to ship your app. This I'm using it just for this purpose, for you to understand how to work with buttons in Flutter. So after you assign this event handler, now we have to provide a child widget. So this widget will be placed inside of this button content area. So let's say we want to add this text widget, and for the text, let's call this a filled button. Give it a comma, save everything, and you can see right here we have our button added. When you click on it, you can see right here in the console, button clicked message right here. As you click more, you can see this number will be incremented. Another button I want to show you is the elevated button, and this will take the same properties as the filled button. You have the onPressed, and then you have to specify a child widget. So now let's use an arrow function right here. So remove this, and now let's call the printed method right here. And then you can copy this text widget and just change the text to be now elevated button. Save. As you can see right here, the background is different, but also notice that the filled button is kind of flat in the UI, but the elevated button we have a little bit of shadow. So this will give you more depth to your UI. Give it a comma, and after this two, we also have the outlined button. As the name suggested, we'll just have a border with this a child widget right here. So let's copy this text widget, paste it, and now call this outlined button. And then for the onPressed, we'll call this anonymous function, and you can call this function right here inside of it, semicolon, and then remove this, save. And this is this outline button. As you can see right here, we still have the same behavior. Notice now we have handled the onPressed from three different ways right here, using this method, and then using the arrow function, and now for the last one we are using this anonymous function right here. And after these buttons, we also can add the text button. Here, this button will have just the text without a background or a border. So let's call the event handler here. Let's assign it. And then for the child, let's copy this text widget, paste it, and here this will be the text button. And with text button, we also have the icon button. Here we just display an icon. So copy the same thing. For the child, we can call the icon widget. And here you specify the icons. Let's use the icons dot and add the add icon. Give it a comma, save. So these are the buttons from Material Design. But you can also work with Cupertino design in Flutter. So you have a Cupertino button. Here, let's move this child to be the last property. Call the event handler right here. Paste it. Let's remove this comma. And here, let's call this text widget again. Paste it. And this will be Cupertino button. Save. And these are the buttons available in Flutter that you can work with inside of your project. We also have the FloatingActionButton, but FloatingActionButton is available inside of this scaffolding widget. If you hover right here, you can see we have right here this FloatingActionButton class right here. So let's call this property and add a FloatingActionButton. I just want to show you that we have the ability to add this FloatingActionButton, but we'll learn more about FloatingActionButton when we start learning about scaffolding widgets in Flutter. So let's call this anonymous function. Give it a comma, and then for the child, let's use the icon widget. And for the icon, let's use this thumbs up, thumbs_up. Save. You can see right here, this floating action button is floating above the content inside of this body of your scaffolding. So save everything. If you come right here inside this onPressed and you specify a null as a value, this will make your button disable. So if you want to disable a button, just pass onPressed equals to null. Let's change it. And now let's learn how we can style our button. As you can see, by default, different buttons have different styles. But you can customize the style by calling the style property. And then the easiest way is to use the name of your button class right here, dot, and then you use this method style from, and here you override your style. So if you hover over the style from method, you can see we have the foreground color, background color, and other properties that you can use. So let's change the background color first. So background color, colors, dot, let's say blue, and then give it a comma. For the foreground color or for the text, you can use foreground color and colors dot white to give it a contrast. Give it a comma, save, and this is how you can style your button. Let's do the same thing for the elevated, but now you change the name of your class right here. Let's do the same thing for this icon button right here. Save. And this is how you can style your buttons. But when you come to Cupertino button, you will style differently. So we don't have the style property, but instead you have the color property right here. And then you specify the colors. Let's use the blue color. And then if you want to size your button, you can use this size style, and this will take this Cupertino class dot, and you have large, which is the default size. Then you have the medium, save, or you have the small. And to style your text, you can come right here, give it a comma, use the style property, and then text style class color, and this called the colors dot white. Save it. Let's change the size now to be large. Save it again. So these are all these widgets that you can work with in Flutter and how you can style them. So one thing about icon buttons, if you want to size this icon, avoid using this icon widget property right here, size. Instead, you can use right here the icon size property for the or icon button, and here you specify the value for your button. Let's say 28.8. You can see this button will increase in size. So one last thing, if you want to change the shape of your button, you can come right here and then you use the shape property, and then you have these options right here that you can use for the shape. Let's use this rounded rectangle border, and here you specify the border radius. Let's use border radius horizontal, and here you specify a value for your left side. Right here is 8. Save. You can see right here we make it a little bit of rounded on this side, and if you want to change it the other side, you can copy and now change it to right property. Save everything, and you can see your button is now a little bit more rectangle. And if you want to size it, you can come right here, click on the size box widget, and then specify the width, and this will make your button responsive by using the double dot infinity. Save, and you can see your button will grow and fill the available space. And if you want to add some margin between the button and the edge of your layout, you can change the size box widget to use a container widget. Here you specify the margin with the width property, and for the margin you can use the edgeLyset.symmetric. Use this horizontal property to add a margin on the left, on the right side. Right here you say 16.0, save, and you can see your button responsive, but now we have margin. So this is it for this video. This is all the buttons you can work with in Flutter. One way you can help our channel grow is by hitting the subscribe button, and also get notification when new videos are coming out, and also by liking this video. And if you have any question, leave a comment. I'll reply to you as soon as possible. See you on the next one.